there I was, a fisheries enforcement officer in the Bering Sea, near the Aleutian Islands, with over 1 million square miles of water to patrol. We were there to enforce federal and state fisheries regulations, science-based, and we were pretty much it. So we used every trick in the book that we could to find those few individuals who might choose to take more than their share. And we used aircraft, fixed wing. We used our helicopter, which we fly twice a day. We even hid our 400-foot ship behind snow-capped mountainous islands so that we could then pounce around the corner and look with our radar and see if we could find somebody. Usually just some sea lions. But every once in a while, we were in the right place at the right time. And that's what makes enforcement effective. And so, when I came to this program, I became very interested in another small service with a big mission, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife officers. They have a big job. There's a 2021 document that says they have only 33% of the resources that they need. And for the marine enforcement team, that's 50 people and a handful of patrol boats to patrol over 1,000 miles of coastline, sometimes out to 200 nautical miles, and 124 MPAs. It's a big job. They do have allied agencies that assist them, but those folks are busy too. So I was pretty excited when I saw this at the end of the Scripps Pier. It's a marine monitor system, an M2. And its purpose is to provide coverage of marine protected areas so that we know what's happening on the surface. And to do that, it has 3 sensors. It has a automatic identification system, which will track vessels that are transmitting their name and position. Some are required to do that. And then it has a radar that will track the many thousands of vessels that don't have to transmit AIS. And then it has a camera that can get visual information to sync up with that radar and tell you what it is that you're looking at. And to take all those sensors and integrate them, the people from Protected Seas that provide this system have created something called M2 Viewer. And M2 Viewer will give it all to you in one place. There's a desktop app and also a mobile app. And in this example, the M2 on Scripps Pier has detected a vessel that isn't transmitting AIS. It is a vessel of interest because it's behaving in a way that indicates that it could be fishing. It's changing course a lot, it's moving slow, and it's in a marine protected area. So if we look from the right screen over to the left, we get a visual of that, and to my eye, it looks like it's probably a kayak with a person in it, but there's what looks like a fishing pole behind them. Maybe, maybe not. This is a mile away, so it's pretty good for a camera, but it's enough for a wildlife officer, a warden, or another peace officer to perhaps go and check it out. And if not today, another day. It starts to build that critical information. And what this is really about is shared awareness so that that limited force of people can be in the right place at the right time. Now, to take it to a bird's eye view, what we're looking at here is my very overly complicated map of La Jolla. So the rectangles are the marine protected areas, and the green arcs are M2 systems and the area that they cover. And where I put the M2 icon is the Scripps Pier. So you can kind of see the arc coming to a point there, and that's where the system we were just looking at is located. This looks really good because we've got not 1, but 2 systems covering 4 marine protected areas. And so we should have pretty good situational awareness here and really know what's going on. And that is good for enforcement officers, for resource managers, and for all the partners that support them. And so very encouraging. But when you zoom out a bit to look at the Southern California Bight, you see that we have a lot of marine protected areas, which is also good, but we have only three M2 systems in San Diego and 3 up in the Santa Barbara Channel. And so the focus of my capstone project is to ask the question, why? We've had these systems since 2015, and they've largely remained about the same number of them that we started off with. And so what that tells me is that this is good. We're adding value here. We're providing enough support that there's shared awareness in these places, and it's helping people to manage these MPAs and get to compliance. But we're not doing great, because if we were, I would see a lot more of these green arcs covering a lot more of these marine protected areas. And if you look up, particularly in the Channel Islands, we've got a lot of them up there. And we don't get a lot of eyes on those places. And so that might be one place, I don't know, but that might be one place where more could be used. So the focus of my capstone project was kind of twofold. One was, what can we do better to get more value out of the systems that we have now? And then the second part was, where should we have more of these? And how would we go about deciding something like that? And I knew there must be more to the story. And so I engaged in conversations with over 30 professionals from enforcement agencies, from city attorneys, the Resources Legacy Fund that has funded these M2 systems, thank you, and the partners, the site partners like Wild Coast and California Marine Sanctuary Foundation who support them all. And what I synthesized out of that was there's 3 areas for improvement that can really help here. One was that there are some officers that incorporate this into their work every single day, and they know how to use it for planning, operations, for investigations, for case files. I got their best practices and put them into a pro tips guide. The second area is to give the site partners some structured feedback tools so that they can know what's working well and what isn't, which would inform protected seas so that they know where to put their time and effort to make things better. And then the third is a site selection guide for those site partners, for the enforcement officers, for the Resources Legacy Fund, so that they can make the best possible decisions on where to invest next. And for that guide, I'll run you through a simple example. And in this case, we've got some interested folks that might want to be site partners in Orange County, and they're thinking about 4 MPAs between Dana Point and Newport Beach. And so they dive into the guide and they start to analyze what they should do. And here's the situation. They've got 3 potential sites in Dana Point, the center of Laguna Beach, and Crystal Cove State Park. And you can see here the 4 MPAs that they're concerned about. Dana Point is a pretty narrow one. It's mostly intertidal, and the same with Crystal Cove, whereas Laguna Beach has some deep water and is a greater risk of vessel-borne illegal catch. And so they dive into that, and they go to Dana Point, and they find a site host that's very eager and wants to host now, but on top of a 320-foot cliff with a narrow MPA. And so they realize that there's not a lot of need for M2 coverage for that one MPA, but it's not a bad site, and they have an interested host. And then they move on to Laguna Beach, and they find a great need with the marine protected areas that are there, but Laguna Beach depends upon their tourism for a lot of their income. And so they're concerned about an M2 system interfering with that. And their concerns are rational, but the team sees that the gazebo at Heisler Park would be just a fantastic place for that radar and camera, and then the computer could easily go into the lifeguard tower. So they're talking about it. And then they go to Crystal Cove and they find a similar situation, great sighting spot, but it's very hard to permit something like that in a state park, excuse me. And so once they've had a more rigorous analysis than what I just walked you through, they will document all that using the site guide. And they'll have the opportunity to take these apples and oranges and pears and put them side by side and really think about where they want to make their next investment in M2. And the guide can lead them to create a work list, a project list with more conversations to come by going to the not yet column and coming up with things that they should continue to focus on as a working group. And so those are the 3 deliverables that I made. I would really like to thank my Capstone Advisory Committee. What an amazing group of leaders. They shared their networks with me so willingly, and really the guidance that I received and the assistance was fantastic. And I would like to thank all of these people. Every one of these people spent at least an hour with me. Most of them read 1, maybe 2 versions of my deliverables, and I am forever grateful. So thank you so much. And if you really want to dig into it, here is a QR code that will lead you to those deliverables. Thanks so much. Any questions? Can I grab that water? Thank you. Any questions? Ready.
All right, well, I've got a question. Great job, Greg. Thank you so much for this project and for sharing it with us. I know you spent a lot of time talking to NGOs and also enforcement officers themselves about what would be most useful and what could make the M2 system we have even more useful in future siting. Having had all these conversations, I think you said you had like at least 30 different people that you interviewed. What was your biggest takeaway from this project, do you think?
Thank you for asking.
Oh.
For me, I was aware that there were government agencies, that there were non-governmental organizations like Wild Coast and CMSF, that there were these fantastic foundations that funded things like RLF. But what I didn't fully grasp until this project was that those are acronyms and names, but there's a network of people that is, they're tight. They not only like solving problems together, but they like each other too. And that's kind of rare sometimes in the world. And so that was my biggest takeaway from this project was, kind of once you get to meet this community, you can't help but love what they're doing and who these people are. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Hi, Greg. Great presentation.
Thanks.
I was just curious what those rational reasons were for Laguna Beach to kind of be, I don't know, cautious about the system.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Yeah, that's a good question. If you've ever walked the coastal trails in Laguna Beach, they're very well groomed and idyllic, and it is a really nice walk. And so this system that you see here above Merrill and Anastasia's heads is in Santa Barbara. And it is really not designed for that kind of situation. It kind of rattles and it doesn't look really super great. And so you would definitely need to if you're going to put it in a place where thousands of people visit every year, it would have to look not scary. It would have to not look like the government is watching. It would have to appeal to your visitors. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.